That's quite an entrance, young dragon. There might be hope for us yet.
The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning is a 2006 action-adventure game developed by Krome Studios and released on the PlayStation 2, Xbox, and GameCube. There were also several mobile versions of the same name released across various handheld devices, but I can tell you that after trying the DS version for about 15 minutes, I won't be reviewing them. As a quick aside, if you've played this game before, you might notice that my clips look oddly dark and saturated. I use my Steam Deck for emulation, and while I love that little thing, it currently forces a fake HDR mode on everything when it's going through a dock. I've been all over Google and haven't been able to figure out how to fix it. Hopefully Steam will give me the ability to turn it off in the future, but I thought it was worth mentioning because when I talk about the graphics, I wanted you to know that I've also seen it under normal rendering, and that didn't change anything. Sometimes this version even looks better. Alright. Tangent over. Krome Studios is an Australian-based game developer and notable for being the only game developer I've ever heard of from that entire continent. That might sound like a jab because of my naturally sarcastic tone, but it's not intended to be. Like any red-blooded American patriot, I love Steve Irwin and hate Outback Steakhouse, so I like to think that I would be an ally to the Aussies in their next great emu war. Krome Studios is also notable for developing the Ty the Tasmanian Tiger series, which I have only played recently but quite enjoyed. I can recommend the remasters to any platformer fans out there. What I can't recommend to any platformer fans out there is The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning, but we'll get to that. Also, I'm just going to start calling it A New Beginning and assume that we're all smart enough to know what I mean. Now, I'm no scholar in the arena of developer-publisher relationships, but I'll do my best because I think it's relevant to the review. As a bit of background for anyone like myself who grew up on the original Spyro games, those, along with another game called Disruptor, were developed by Insomniac Games in the 90s under a 4-game contract with Universal Interactive Studios, who retained the publishing and distribution rights. After Year of the Dragon in 2000, Insomniac stepped away from Spyro and started working on Ratchet & Clank, another classic, and Universal Interactive attempted to find a different bottle that could catch lightning. In 2002, Enter the Dragonfly released to generally negative reviews. In 2004, Spyro: A Hero's Tale looked at that and said, another one. If you are wondering why I'm skipping to A New Beginning, it's because I didn't know about the others. I thought this was the first PlayStation 2 Spyro game. Alright, so we're all on the same page now. A New Beginning set out to reboot the series with a darker tone in its art direction and story. I really think it succeeded in this. The entire game is significantly darker than previous entries. Muddy colors and frightful character designs help to bring you into a headspace of misery and despair, matching the tone of the story. To fit this maturing of atmosphere, the game also put a heavier focus on combat than previous entries. 4 different elementally themed breath weapons could be leveled up with experience, very much like the first God of War, and there was a rudimentary melee combat system, including air juggling. Enemies tend to be a bit spongy and don't really react to your attacks, but at least there's a lot of them. Not a great variety of them, but certainly a large quantity. Exploration and platforming were largely abandoned, and levels, which were known for being large, open, and filled with secrets, became a linear series of combat arenas with a boss fight at the end. 3 different bosses, but you'll be fighting one of them 4 times and another one twice. It may be obvious by this point, but for the sake of clarity, I'll just go ahead and say it. I was not a fan of A New Beginning. The changes in tone lost what made Spyro wonderful for kids, and the attempts to make things more mature feels like chasing trends. This was in the wake of games like Halo 2 and God of War blowing up the sales charts, and the cynic in me can't not see the pattern there. I don't blame the developers for that, which I'm sure helps them sleep at night, you know? Some random nobody on the internet isn't mad at them about a game from 2006. I know how these things work. You code monkeys and pixel pushers are down there in the trenches destroying your bodies so some middle manager can come take a shit on a conference table and tell you to polish that turd until it makes $100 million. I see you. And I love you. I won't go through the whole story, and I don't think this summary has any real spoilers, but if you're not into that, then there's a timestamp in the description, or I put chapters on the timeline. You can feel free to skip ahead. In A New Beginning, the army of the Dark Master has invaded the dragon's home to destroy all of the dragon eggs because there is a prophecy that a purple dragon will leave his mark on the age. Ignitus, voiced by Gary Oldman, manages to save only 1 egg by sending it floating down Piss River. He is found and adopted by a family of dragonflies and returns 12 years later to save his people, and yes, I am aware that they just made him Moses. Spyro, voiced by Elijah Wood, and his brother Sparks, voiced by David Spade, travel to discover his origins, save the few remaining dragons, and attempt to prevent the return of Sauron. They are opposed by Cinder, voiced by Cree Summer, who is criminally underdeveloped, and every single baboon that has ever lived. I could go on about all the ways this game fails. The original script for this video was just under 5,000 words, but I don't really want to be that negative. It's not fun to me to kick a game while it's down, and it really wouldn't change anything. Some people still love the series, and I'm not here to call them stupid either. Fun is subjective, and I'm glad they found some, even though I couldn't. If you'd like to see what I think makes a good Spyro game, I made a video on that already. But for now, I'll move on and forget The Legend of Spyro: A New Beginning. The game was only 6 hours long, and I've wasted enough of my time on it. Hey, thanks for watching my video. I've tried several different formats across the last few months, but I'm hoping something with a little bit more structure will help me to get them out faster and with a little less stress. At this point, I'm playing games and writing scripts faster than I can edit them. I guess that's a good problem to have? Anyway, until next time, later.
Now come with me. I have something for you. It's time to unleash the true dragon within you.
What? So big.
No wonder they gagged this guy.
Heathens.